Okay, all right, so just have a look and see if you have the same answers, right, for NP or VP. 一样吗? Yeah, just compare together and see if you have the same answers. Okay, should we do it together? So what about the first one, the demand for energy? What's that? NP, 对, right? There's no verb, 对不对? Crimes were committed by young people. VP, 对. The number of male and female workers. NP. People emigrated to Canada. VP. Carbon dioxide is found in the air. VP. The relative importance of location. NP. 对, no verb, right? Living standards have improved. VP. Subjects are popular. VP. The increase of exhaust emissions. NP, 对. Okay, so you can see here that NP and VP are very, very important when you are writing, right? So the three common problems that we have, that people have when they are writing: focusing on little words, focusing on the end of words, and focusing on the end of the set phrase. And you can see at the end of the set phrase here, very often you看这里写 VP and NP, 对不对? So you must make sure that your idea is NP or VP. Okay, and then the fourth common problem that people have is that you must make sure you use the complete set phrase, right? So when you are using this language and the other language that I will teach you on the course, right? When you do the course, I will teach you lots and lots of new language, and when you use the language, this new language, you have to be very careful about these 4 points. And this makes life much easier for everybody. Okay, so we're going to practice and we're going to look at some common mistakes. So can you have a look at task 4? Okay, and in task 4, you will see these set phrases from task 2, right? The set phrases that we've just been learning. These set phrases here. Okay, and I want you to see if you can find any mistakes with the set phrases here. Okay, so look for mistakes, task 4, right? Look for mistakes with little words. Look for mistakes with end of words. Look for mistakes with the end of the set phrase. And is it complete? One, what's the first one? 对. S, right? Years, in recent years, because this is a mistake with the end of words, right? In recent years. It's a very common mistake. 我不知道为什么在台湾你们都不喜欢写 S. Right? You must remember to use S, yeah. Okay, many people consider about. What's the mistake? Yeah, it should be that, 对, not about, right? It should be consider that. I firmly believe that. Firmly, 对, I firmly believe, right? How do you know it's firmly? Yeah, because believe is a verb, and also because if you look here, you can see 这里用 firmly, 对不对? Right? Now, maybe you don't know that believe is a verb, so you just have to follow what you see here, right? And if you follow what you see here, then you don't need to know that believe is a verb, 对. Okay, what about the next one? It's my opinions that. Here we have no S, 对不对? 那个 S 不对, right? Yeah, good. Okay, what about the next one? This surely not the only way to look for the question. Oh, there are many mistakes here, right? However, this is. We need is, 对不对? 为什么我们用 is? 因为这里用 is. 这里用 is. 所以我们需要用 is, 对不对? Yeah? This is surely not the only way to look at the question, right? Not look for. 为什么用 at? 因为这里用 at, right? Because in task 2 we use at. 这里用 at, 对不对? Right? So you just have to make sure that the end of words, the little words, everything is very correct from copying. Okay, next one. However, there are 2 sides 然后呢 Yes, there are two sides to this statement. So here, this set phrase is not complete. 对不对? Right? Good. What about the next one? In conclusion. Now, this is tricky because if you look, it says in conclusion, 后面加 VP. 对不对? Right? 可是 no problem is not a VP. No problem is an NP. So we need a VP, right? So in conclusion, there is no problem. 那这是一个 VP, 对不对? So here you need to be careful about VP or NP. To sum up, not possible to say clearly. Now here we have the same problem, right? If you look at task 2, it says to sum up 后面用 VP, 对不对? Right? But not possible to say clearly. This is not a VP. There's no verb and there's no subject. So we need to add so we can write it is. 对不对? It is not possible to say clearly. And now it is the VP. Do you see how that works? Yeah? So you can see many mistakes that people make are mistakes with NP or VP. So if you clearly understand what is NP, what is VP, then your writing will improve very, very quickly. Okay, next one. It's my opinion that... What's going on here? It's correct. 对. Aha! So this one is a trick, right? There are no mistakes. This one is totally correct because it's exactly the same. 对不对? Good. Okay, what about the last one? Yes, that's correct. There's no doubt in my mind. 对，为什么我们需要用 in? 因为这里用 in. 对不对? Right? So you just need to make sure when you are using this language that you copy the language and use it very correctly. Okay? And on this course, you will learn lots and lots of language that you can use in your essay, and very easy to use language in your essay, and you just follow these 4 problems, these 4 common errors. Okay? All right, now we're going to quickly have a look at how to organize your body paragraph. We looked at the introduction, we looked at the conclusion. Now let's look at how to organize your body paragraph, the 2 main paragraphs in the middle of your essay. And again, it's pretty simple. You begin with a general sentence, topic sentence. And your topic sentence has always got to be the most general sentence. When you have got your topic sentence, there are 5 different kinds of information you can add to your topic sentence. First, you can add a new idea, a totally different idea, maybe not even related. Okay, so you add another general idea to the topic sentence. Second, you can give an example or give the opposite viewpoint, right? You can give the opposite viewpoint of the topic sentence, specific information. Third, you can give a specific example of the topic sentence. So you give an example from your life, or you give an example from your experience, specific information. Next, you can also describe the reason for the topic sentence. What's the reason for this? Or what is the result of this? You can describe the reason or the result. And finally, we can also describe the condition and the consequence. So your paragraph, your body paragraph, should be organized in this way, right? You begin with a topic sentence, and then you can choose. Do you want to do this next, or this, or this, or this? But the key point is that this is very general, and this is very specific. Okay? And your body paragraph should be organized in this way. So let's have a look at an example. Have a look at the next task, which is task 5. And you'll see here this paragraph. Okay? And the sentences are not in the correct order. So can you put the sentences in the most logical order? Okay, so which one do you think is the most general topic sentence? And write number 1 here. Okay, which one do you think is the next sentence? And as you're doing this, you can use this model here. Right? All right, then good. Let's go through the examples. So the first one is number C. Number 1 is C. Now number 2 is A. Number 3 is F. Give an example. Number 4 is B. This is the result. Number 5 is D. This is adding, another reason. And the last one is E. And E is the opposite point of view. Okay? So you should have C, A, F, B, D, E. Now, maybe at the moment you got this wrong, maybe you didn't understand this very carefully, but when you take the class, I will explain this in more detail, and we will do a lot of work like this in organizing paragraphs. The way we organize information in English and the way you organize information in Chinese is quite different. So you need to spend more time learning how to do this. Now let's look at the language we can use. So have a look at task 6. And you can see here, you can see some of the set phrases used in the paragraph. And here are the meanings of these set phrases from the board here, right? So can you match the set phrases with the meaning? Okay, right, let's go through the answers together for this. So the first one of the possible reasons for, this is describing the reason. Right? One of the possible reasons for is describing the reason. Another good reason is that this is the topic, this is adding. Because we have another, right? So that's adding. For example is giving an example. On the other hand, is giving the opposite viewpoint. There are many reasons why. That's your topic sentence, very general. And then finally, this is the consequence. We use will to write about consequence. Okay? So these are the set phrases that you can use to explain and to show these different kind of relationships, right? So if you take this online course, you will learn lots more language that you can use to describe these different kind of relationships and how to organize your ideas in a paragraph. Okay? All right then, good. So I think that's all I want to talk to you today about writing, okay? If you take the online course, you will learn many, many more things, but this is kind of the basic outline of the writing course. Okay, now I'd like to move on, and we're going to have a look at speaking now, right? We're going to look at some of the problems that you might have with speaking. Okay, and if you look here, you can see here are the common problems that many people have with speaking. The first problem that, I think a very big problem that people have first is interacting with the conversation partner. Okay, especially if you are a little bit shy, right, or if you don't have much confidence with your English, then sometimes interacting with your conversation partner might be a little bit difficult. Another problem that many people have with speaking is their pronunciation, right? How to use beautiful pronunciation and sound very clear. And the last problem is language fluency. And language fluency means speaking fast, speaking smoothly, so that you don't hesitate or you don't pause, right? So you can keep speaking smoothly. So these are the three most common problems that people have with speaking, okay? Especially in the test, in the IELTS test, or also in the TOEIC or the TOEFL test. So let's talk a little bit about the first one. Let's talk about interacting. And I want to show you the two different kinds of interaction that we can have in a conversation. Okay, so if you watch this diagram here, you'll see that we have two people, A and B. Okay, now A asks B a question, right? A will say, oh, hi, how are you? Right? Hi, how are you? And then B will answer. And B will say, I'm fine, I'm good. And then A will ask another question. What's your name? And B will answer, my name is John. And then A will ask a question, where do you live? And B will say, oh, I live in Banchow, for example, right? So we can see here in this kind of conversation, in this kind of interaction, A is the leader, because A has all the questions and B has all the answers. So in this conversation, we can say that A is the leader and B is the follower. And this is the kind of interaction that we call short-term talk unbalanced. And it's unbalanced because A is the leader and B is the follower. And this is the kind of conversation pattern, the kind of interaction that you need to use in part 1 of the IELTS speaking test. This is also the kind of conversation that you will have if you go to a job interview. Right? This is a kind of interview interaction where A asks lots of questions and B just gives the answers. Now let's look at another kind of interaction. This is a little bit different. So if you watch here, you can see A and B, two people. A asks B a question. How are you today? And B answers, I'm very well. And then B asks A a question. How are you? And A says, I'm good. And then A asks B a question. Where are you going? And B says, I'm going to a movie with my friend. What are you doing? And then B will ask A. And you can see here in this conversation, this is very different. Because here, A and B are sharing the conversation. A is not the leader and B is not the leader. So this kind of interaction we call short-term talk balanced. And this is balanced because A and B have the same number of questions and they are both sharing the conversation. And we can put the two conversations side by side like this and you can clearly see the difference. So in part 1 of the IELTS speaking test, you need to use this kind of interaction. And in part 3 of the IELTS test, you need to use this kind of interaction. And one of the reasons why in Taiwan people get a low score in the IELTS speaking test is because they don't understand how to use this kind of interaction. And they use this interaction for part 1 and part 3. Right? So on the online course, I will teach you how to do these two different styles of interaction. Okay? So before I continue, do you want to copy this picture here in task 7? Right? You can copy this diagram here and then copy this picture here. These are the two different interactions, right? So just quickly copy the picture into the two diagrams. So you can see from this that the interaction between part 1 and part 3 is very, very different. There are also some other differences between part 1 and part 3. Let me show you now. First, in part 1 is very low level. And the topics are personal. They will be specific, very specific topics, concrete. So you'll be talking about things, right? And you'll be talking about your personal experience. So this is the kind of topic that you will have in part 1. In part 3, it's much more difficult. Part 3 is much more high level. They want to test your ability to talk about high-level topics in part 3. So the topics will usually be impersonal. They will not be about your life or experience, but they will be about your opinions. Okay? So in part 1, you talk about your experience. In part 3, you talk about your opinions. 不一样，对不对? Okay? The topics are usually very general. Topics about the world, the environment, politics maybe. Okay? And often quite abstract. You will talk about ideas, not experiences. So this is another difference between part 1 and part 3. And very often in Taiwan, people find this kind of topic very, very difficult to talk about, right? So when you do the online course, I will teach you how to talk about these more high-level topics and use high-level language. 对不对? Okay, now another thing which is very important for part 3 conversation, right? The part 3 discussion is the interacting. And there are 4 things that you need to learn how to do. First, to ask for opinions. Second, to give your opinion. Third, to agree. And fourth, to disagree. And you can see here these example sentences that you can use. So this is example language that you can use to agree, right? Or to ask the examiner for her opinion. This is set phrases you can use to express your opinion about the topic. And here are some set phrases you can use to agree with the examiner and to disagree with the examiner, right? So in part 3, these are some useful languages, useful set phrases, useful language that you can use. Okay? And on the online course, I will teach you many more set phrases that you can use in part 1, in part 2, and also in part 3 like this. Yeah? Okay, now when you're learning this language, of course, you must be very careful and you must use very clear pronunciation. 对不对? Okay? And for clear pronunciation, you will need to use connected speech and intonation. Okay? And connected speech means the way that we link the words together when we are speaking, right? The way we join words together. And intonation means the music of your voice when you are speaking. So I'm going to show you some examples and we're going to quickly practice. Okay, so connected speech. Here we have this set phrase. Now when we're speaking English, we do not separate every word. We do not say as far as I can make out. Oh, 好无聊, right? We don't separate every word like this. We link the words together so that we're saying as far as, right? So we take this, 这是一个母音, and we put in front of the 子音 here, right? As far as I can make out, right? So we link it together. As far as I can make out, count. As far as I can make out, 懂不懂? Right? Here another one. We don't say as I see it. No, we don't speak like this. As I see it. 这样不对. We say as I see it. As I see it. Right? As I see it. So on the online course, I will teach you how to do this kind of pronunciation. And if you can use this kind of connected speech pronunciation, this will give you a higher score for your fluency. Now let's look at connected speech. Okay, connected speech is the music of your voice when you are speaking. Intonation. Sometimes your voice goes up like this, and sometimes your voice goes down like this. 对不对? Right? So this is very, very important in English. So for example, when we're saying absolutely, we must say absolutely. Absolutely. 我们都没有说 absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. 这样子不对, right? It should be absolutely. And you have to use a very wide intonation. This one, again, also, I can see your point, but surely. I can see your point, but surely. So it's very, very wide, right? And if you can use these 2 things, connected speech and intonation, this will help you to get a nice score in the test, right? No matter what kind of test, TOEFL, IELTS or TOEIC. Yeah? So, shall we practice? Let's quickly practice the pronunciation of these set phrases here and think about connected speech and intonation. Yeah? Okay, so here we go. The first one is, what's your position on this? Right, you want to try? What's your position on this? That's right. Again, yeah? What's your position on this? Yeah, good. What's your view? What's your view? Wait, okay, next one. As far as I can make out. As far as I can make out. So you need to emphasize I, right? As I see it. Do it. Okay? Now, next one. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree completely. I can see your point, but surely. Good. Yes, but don't you think that? But don't you think that? Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds great. All right, everybody, so those are some tips to help you with your speaking, okay? But what I want to do now is just to give you the outline of this course and let you know what kind of things you will be learning in each class, right? So here is the speaking class, the speaking course outline. You can see there are 4 lessons, okay? First lesson is an introduction to the speaking test. In lesson 2, you will learn how to do speaking part 1. Lesson 3, speaking part 2. Lesson 4, speaking part 3, right? So you will learn things like how to analyze the information, how to prepare your response, how to agree and disagree. So these are some of this is the course outline for this online program here, okay? 4 lessons. The writing is a little bit longer. The writing, there are 8 lessons because in IELTS you have to do 2 tasks, right? So this is task 1. This is for technical writing where you have to describe a graph or a table. Okay, so in the first lesson you will have an introduction, how to analyze the graph, how to analyze the material. Then in the second lesson you will learn how to write about movement, right? How to describe graphs, how to compare, and in the last one, how to describe maps or processes. This is a very common topic in IELTS Task 1. And then the second part of the writing class focuses on Task 2. And again, you'll have an introduction to Task 2. Then you will learn how to write an introduction and a conclusion. And then the last 2 classes are about how to write an essay in an argument opinion essay and how to write a paragraph in a problem solution essay, right? And each class lasts about 2 hours and you have lots of opportunity to practice, and you will also get some feedback, right? You'll have 4 lessons. You'll have 8 chances to get feedback on your writing, and you'll have 1 chance to have an interview with me in the speaking class. Okay? All right then. So I think we'll finish there. If you have any questions, do you have any questions that you would like to ask me about the program? No? 有问题吗? Don't be shy. Okay. Yeah, 有问题吗? Yeah. Yes. Yes, you can. In part 3 of the IELTS test, you can ask the examiner what she thinks. 可以啊. Because part 3 is a discussion, right? You cannot ask the examiner, I'm sorry, what do you mean? 这样子不行，你不能问他，哦，我不懂你的意思。Yeah, but you can also ask, this is my opinion, what do you think? What's... Yes. Yeah, and then you can agree or disagree, right? So in part 3, the examiner wants to know if you can have a discussion. Do I? Okay? Yeah, so it's difficult because you feel very nervous, right? Yeah, good. Okay, 还有问题吗? Okay.
Is that computerized?
Yes, it is.
Or is computerized?
Yes. Well, I think now in Taiwan they offer you a choice. So some test centers you have to do with pen and paper, and other centers it will be computerized. But the interview, the speaking test, is always with another person. So that's not computerized. So you'll have an examiner, and you have to talk to the examiner, right? So that makes people feel very nervous. Yes. Yeah, you're okay. Good, good. Yeah.
How about speaking part 2?
In part 2, it's very easy. The examiner will give you a topic, and you have to talk for 2 minutes. You just have to make a presentation for 2 minutes. So that's quite easy. But in the speaking, the most difficult part is the difference between part 1 and part 3. Right? So on the course, I will also teach you how to do part 2, of course, right? Yeah. Okay? 还有问题吗？你有问题吗？ No? No? You okay? Yeah? 有问题吗？ No? All right, then, good.
The highest grade is 7, is that correct?
The highest grade is 9. But the highest grade that I heard in Taiwan, I never know anybody who got a 9. The highest grade I heard is 8.5. Right, so 8.5 is a very, very high level, right? Yeah, so the highest level, but, you know, if you study really hard and practice really hard, I think you can probably get an 8 or an 8.5, right? Good. Okay, now we'll finish there then. So if you have any more questions, you can ask the marketing people, yeah? Okay, 好，谢谢大家，谢谢。